Welcome. First of all, my honest thanks to Swiss Chrono to host us today, to Henrik Hecht, who was in tight cooperation with me in order to set up this forum in your brand new convention location here in Wittstock. And my personal motivation about this is, first of all, my father and my grandfather were both forest guards. And I have to out myself, I'm a hunter as well. So I have the hunting license when I was 16, so-called Jugendjagdschein. I really was very happy potentially receiving an invitation to the next hunting experience in Wittstock Forest. I was ready. Thank you very much. Personally giving this invitation from the mayor. And secondly, my motivation is to honor my wife. Sorry. We will have enough breaks today, so in case it does not work out properly or some presentation will be abandoned and skipped, we have more time to network. The catering is done by our hotelier, which appears very nice today, so we have another rhyme. Today's evening we invite for a barbecue, a game barbecue, and we have 4 fellows from Pritzwalk who give us some music on a hunting horn, so to finish this marvelous event. You will all receive the list of attendees today to continue networking. The entire forum will be streamed, and we get a video made out of the highlights of this day, so for memory reasons and go after. There are plenty of, like usual in these days, short-term amendments, let's say, due to the strike in Schönefeld Airport, due to Corona, due to whatever, but we have to cope with this. We do not schedule for Q&A, so just skip your questions you have to our speakers and startups in the breaks. Yeah, and as I mentioned, if something is going wrong with the internet connection, not from our side, but from the side the presenters and speakers, we just skip them out, because we do not want you to stare on black screens and waiting for the internet connection, so we just pass over and give him a later opportunity. This way, thank you very much for giving us the chance to be hosted here in Wittstock, which was at first glance quite challenging, but explaining 28 times to people how to come here. Some still are looking for the place, but I'm very happy to welcome. We have over 30 startups from all over the world in the wood and forest sector, and this shows clearly that this is a market for startups. We did yesterday the site tour with intense and detailed explanations of Henrik, guiding us through the production, which was really interesting, and we detected so many opportunities for startups to install their new technologies, say packaging, say big data challenges, etc., etc. So there's enough to do for smart startups on Swiss Chrono, I guess. Thanks again. And now I'm very happy to announce, check your title, Head of Strategy from Swiss Chrono Holding AG from Lucerne, Switzerland, Mr. Max von Tippelskirch. As I know, the name quite familiar with your family name. I was asking about one of your cousin was with IKB.
It's my father, actually.
Your father? Yes, sir. So, whatever. So, thank you very much for having us here. Thank you to the team of Rosengrün, who is managing the data transfer and all the streaming issues and topics. Thank you very much. And Max, feel free, welcome the audience. Thank you very much.
So good morning, everybody. A special welcome to Mr. Leonhard. Thanks again for putting together this great event. I think we are really proud that we can host you here, and I would like to welcome you on behalf of the whole Swiss Chrono Group. I already had a meeting on the parking lot here where I noticed that I should explain what Swiss Chrono does, but I will maybe do this later on, but maybe only a couple of words. So we are a producer of wood panels. So we are in the wood industry. We produce in 10 sites in 8 countries. So we are actually a global company. And in all we do, we strive for innovation. And we strive for innovation in products, in process, and also in new business models. So I'm really excited here today to listen to 30 startups that want to present our ideas. I hope the internet connection actually stays stable, because I can imagine it might be very frustrating if you got cut off just because of technical issues, but that's life. You always have a second chance. So I don't want to steal too much of your time. Happy to have you here. I'm a special welcome to our young friends over there that want to improve their English. Hope to see you soon as potential future employees of Swiss Chrono. And I will ask Christian Baumann to contact you all directly so we can sign you up going forward. Thanks again, and happy to have you here.
I'm doing events now for 27 years, and I really appreciate brief and concise speeches. Thank you very much, Max. I made already other experiences. Yeah, Henrik, you are the man on site, and you're invited to do your welcome.
So hello everybody, to the audience in the internet and present here in our nice design station. So we as Swiss Chrono, we are glad to host this event, and I'm very happy that we are very well attended here. And Max already, let's say, mentioned the main things about us and our company and our group. I just would like to take the opportunity to say a special hello to the mayor of the town, which was also the initiator, I need to say, for this nice location. So, Mr. German, happy to have you here. I try to translate it correctly. So, the deputy of our county, the deputy head of our county, correct, Mr. Nyse, welcome, nice that you are here. Mr. Blechschmidt, our association, head of our company association here in this area. We call it Dreieck, Wittstock, Dosse. Maybe it makes not so much sense to translate this, but anyway, happy to have you here. Our foresters from Kunsterspring, and the students from Pritzwalk, right, and Wittstock. So, nice that you are all here. I welcome you, feel free. And then in the breaks, I think we are also happy to answer all your inquiries and questions and whatever. So I wish us all a nice event, and I'm also very curious about the things we are listening to today. Thank you.
Dear Mr. Mayor, for being formal, it's your place to welcome the audience.
Ja, wenn Sie jetzt denken, ich mache mit einem exzellenten Englisch weiter, muss ich Sie leider enttäuschen. Dazu hatte ich in meiner Vorbereitung auf das Amt des Bürgermeisters dieser Stadt keine Zeit. Und insofern möchte ich ganz besonders begrüßen die jungen Menschen aus Pritzwalk. Ich glaube, das ist das Gymnasium in Wittstock, das sich heute hier Platz gefunden hat. Auch aus unserer Stadt Wittstock ist die Polytechnische Oberschule, also die Oberschule, hier zu Gast. Und ich glaube, lieber Herr Hecht, Das ist ein guter Auftakt im Rahmen der Nutzung dieses Objektes, den ehemaligen Lokschuppen so mit Jugend zu beseelen. Herzlichen Glückwunsch für die gute Idee. Ich glaube, da war auch Rosengrün nicht unwesentlich beteiligt. Ja, als Wittstocker Bürgermeister, wenn man hier so in einem alten, ehrwürdigen Gebäude steht, wo nicht produziert wurde, wo Logistik organisiert ward. Hier wurden dann diejenigen gewartet und auf Vordermann gebracht, die den Zug ziehen. Und wenn ich dann hier Menschen vor mir sitzen sehe, die Innovation für sich generieren wollen, um für sich persönlich und für andere Menschen Arbeit und auch Zukunft generieren wollen, möchte ich Sie insbesondere begrüßen. Dazu sagt man heute Neudeutsch, das sind die Mutigen der heutigen Zeit, die in den Rahmenbedingungen, die wir uns heute befinden, manchmal so reden und manchmal nicht nur schön reden, sondern auch manchmal wegschauen und uns zur Ruhe zu begeben und dann uns selbst wieder zu motivieren, in dieser Zeit dann auch noch an das Gute zu glauben. Ihnen möchte ich ein besonderes herzliches Willkommen hier an diesem Ort in Wittstock zurufen. Lieber Hendrik, jetzt kommen wir mal zu dir. Es gibt Menschen, die trifft man. Man macht mal Smalltalk und wenn man sich wieder trifft, dann kann man sich sogar noch mal an die Menschen erinnern. Hendrik erinnert man sich aus einem anderen Grund noch, weil wenn man etwas besprochen hat, ist da eine gewisse Verlässlichkeit dahinter. Und diese Verlässlichkeit haben wir uns nicht nur 5 Jahre erhalten, sondern wir haben auch daraus für uns beide eine gewisse Zukunft generiert. Aber den Hendrik, den erkennt man ja auch so, der ragt immer etwas heraus aus der Masse. Durch seine, das muss jetzt aufpassen, ob ich Länge oder Größe sage. Ich sage mal Größe. Und insofern sind für mich jetzt an dieser Stelle, bin ich auch so ein bisschen emotional, 5 Jahre Arbeit. Und Herr Bünning aus meinem Amt und Herr Bischof sind ja heute auch hier anwesend, final hier zu Ende gebracht worden. Indem nämlich eine Verwaltung im ländlichen Raum mit einem weltweit agierenden Unternehmen, Pettebilskirch, gut zusammengearbeitet hat. Und soll ich mal sagen, was das Schönste war? Auf Augenhöhe. Weil man sich nur, und das sage ich den jungen Menschen, weil man sich nur respektvoll begegnen kann, wenn man sich auf Augenhöhe befindet. Und dafür müssen wir alle wieder sorgen, dass wir uns Mühe geben, uns nicht nur zu verstehen, weil der eine von oben herab betrachtet und der andere sehnsuchtsvoll nach oben schaut. Nein, wir müssen für Augenhöhe sorgen. Das macht nämlich in der Arbeit Spaß und macht Freude auf die Zukunft. Und dann hat man so ein Ergebnis. Früher hätte man Private Partnership gesagt. Bei uns im ländlichen Raum sagt man, wir fangen an und hören dann irgendwann auf und dann sind wir beide glücklich und zufrieden. Wittstock hat aber auch einen anderen Hintergrund, der so aus dem späten Mittelalter rekrutiert sich. Und wir hatten ja hier in dieser Region dann auch Bischöfe angesiedelt, oder die haben sich angesiedelt in Havelberg. Und die waren damals genauso schlau wie die Swiss Krone Group heute. Sie haben nämlich ihren Sitz in Wittstock gewählt. Und die Bischöfe seit 1300 Tippeltappel haben sie hier residiert bis ins 16. Jahrhundert. Und dann gab es ja dann auch noch die Reformation und dann sind sie so ein bisschen aus dem Blickfeld geraten. Und wir haben einen Ehrenbürger, unseren ehemaligen Superintendenten Kurt Zellmer, der sich mit dieser Geschichte der Bischöfe hier in Wittstock in besonderer Art beschäftigt hat. Und dann gibt es so eine Bischofschronik, die durch die Bischöfe und die Schreiberlinge seinerzeit auf Blättern niedergeschrieben wurden, die dann in einem Fundus zusammengetragen wurden. Da sagte man dazu die alte Bischofschronik. Und Kurt Zellmer machte sich dann auf den Weg und hat dann aus dem Lateinischen diese Blättchen dann alle zusammengelegt und daraus diese Chronik dann nicht nur übersetzt, sondern auch das eine oder andere logisch zusammengefügt. Das ist auch so ein Bild, wenn man Blätterchen zusammenlegt. Henrik, das muss ich dann mal deinen Leuten sagen, die haben dann auch die richtige Reihenfolge gefunden, zumindest im Innenbereich. Und deswegen bin ich ganz stolz darauf, dass der Verein Merian hier in Wittstock diese Bischofschronik neu verlegt hat. Auch in einem anderen Format. Sie sehen ja, das hat auch etwas zu tun mit der Zeit seiner Zeit. Und diese Bischofschronik möchte ich dir eigentlich überreichen. Und da habe ich auch noch einen kleinen Satz zugeschrieben. Oh Gott, ja hier. Stadtwappen, Bischof. Aber das kannst du dir alleine durchlesen. Da bedankt sich die Stadt Wittstock bei deinem Engagement. Und Herr Tippelskirch, zu Ihnen wollte ich noch sagen, sind Sie froh, dass Sie den Bischöfen gefolgt sind? Nämlich Nachhaltigkeit, über die wir uns ja heute auch noch unterhalten werden, im Zusammenhang mit unserem Wald, und damit meine ich unserem Wald als Gemeingut, hat auch etwas damit zu tun. Lieber Henrik, ich freue mich, dir das erste Exemplar dir zu übergeben, und das ist für mich eine persönliche Wertschätzung. Die muss man nicht im Büro stehen haben, sondern wenn man mal mutlos ist, manchmal ist auch die Zeit dafür geeignet, sollte man sich mal die Übersetzung zu Gemüte führen und man wird feststellen, die waren damals von Haus alle eingeladen und noch andere Geschäftsideen. Da kann ich etwas entscheiden, was du überhaupt nicht nachvollziehen kannst. Dankeschön, Henrik.
Thank you very much.
Das war bei uns so abgesprochen, dass die Englisch nur Verstehenden auch noch mal mitkommen. Also insofern wünsche ich morgen noch eine gute Erkenntnis. Die Stadt Wittstock hat ja auch 3.500 Hektar Wald, 3.000 circa, Herr Bischof, bestockt, sagt man wohl in Ihrer Fachjargon. Und die 500, da treibt man sie dann immer raus aus dem Wald, damit die schützen, Herr Leonhard. Hoffentlich kommen Sie dann auch im November. Wir brauchen immer gute Strecke. Gut, morgen alle wieder gesund aus dem Wald zurück. Treten Sie dort nicht fehl. Und Herr Bischof, Sie berichten mir dann am morgigen Tag, ob alle vollständig nach den Speisen und Getränken den Wald wieder verlassen haben. So, das will ich Ihnen, den Fachleuten, überlassen. Recht herzlichen Dank nochmal. Dankeschön.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, for your presentation, though it was in German international audience, but another nice example how important a cooperation between public institutions and local economy is and might work if people are meeting on eye level. So thank you very much, Mayor. And yeah, we are happy to receive tomorrow forest guide. For those of you I will ask this afternoon who will join us tomorrow for the forest guide. So this is something which comes right from the depths of my soul to see how forest cultivation and wood recultivation, reforestation, we have a couple of startups today around the topic of reforestation, which is a topic, which is an issue globally, how it is made. Maybe you, Mr. Bischof, can get some inspirations for your particular work in Wittstock, what it's all about. I have some basic knowledges how to manage wood. My father was a typical forester, and at the same time, which is nowadays quite rare, a hunting guard in his own forest of 1,000 hectares of forests near Bonn, our former capital. And I grew up with hunting, I grew up with everything which is related to forest. But the deal of a forester nowadays is something different. So at this time my father was happy to get some inquiries of collecting some wood for fireplaces from his wood. And nowadays the forester have to guard the wood that is not stolen away from the forest. So times have changed. Wood has become increasingly attractive for fireplaces and for heating, for furnaces, etc., etc. So this is something which changed in mind. So we received so many inquiries, and as long as life shows that typically mobiles are ringing when they shouldn't ring. So this occurs. Please, by this way, shut off, or switch off, not shut off. Switch off your mobiles, please, or put them on lower noise, etc., etc., so not disturbing the presentation. At this stage, I want to welcome Mr. Bischoff, who is the local forester, and he will do the guide tomorrow in Wittstock forests. So thanks again for this invitation for hunting. I will do my very, very, very best. So I'm in practice again. Last weekend and the weekend before I was for hunting. My personal results were 3 deers and 4 wild boars. So this was pretty nice for me. So, but I'm not a killer. Don't get me wrong. I'm shooting only when the deer is appearing correctly for being shot. Yeah, I'm not here for lecturing you on hunting. We are starting now. Are we ready for our first online trial? This is Erik Koleminen from Finland. Erik, the audience will listen to you. Now it's our first trial. He's with Metsä Group, one of the biggest wood processing, woodworking groups in Finland. And he's introducing you what do investors look for when investing in the forest and wood-based economy. Hello, Erik.
Hello, can you hear me? I assume you can hear me, so I'll continue. First of all, I would like to thank Ulf for organizing the event. We see that this is very important for the forest industry sector and for the innovations within the industry to have these sort of events where all parties come together. And then I would like to also thank Hedrick for providing the venue and resources for the event. Unfortunately, I have to apologize not being present personally due to the reason that I got sick with corona just recently. But I wish that all of you will have a good event there, and I will be participating remotely. Today, I will be sharing you some thoughts about what do investors look for when investing in forest-based bioeconomy. I will be speaking more from the point of view of a corporate investor and more from the point of view of investing in physical products. But from that point of view, there are also some relevancies regarding digital solutions and other technological solutions that can be utilized within the forest industry. First of all, when investors are evaluating opportunities, they see how those opportunities relate to the purpose of the company and to the vision of the company. If we think of Metsä Group, the company where I'm coming from, our vision is to be a forefront player in circular bioeconomy by processing northern wood into first-class products. So when we're looking at new startups to invest in, we see how they fit into this purpose. And as a startup, when you're discussing with investors, it's good to understand what is the purpose of the organization. If they're a financial investor or if they're an industrial investor, a corporate investor, what is the angle that they come from? It's also good to understand if you're speaking with an industrial investor, what is their business about? At Metsä Group, we have 5 different business areas ranging from services to forest owners to plywood and LVL in Metsä Wood. We're the largest softwood market pulp producer. We also do sawn timber, paperboard, and tissue papers. And we look for innovations related to all these areas. So an important factor when a corporate investor is assessing opportunities is how these opportunities link to the business areas that the corporation has. In our case, those can be through the main products, for example, pulp. How can pulp be further made into a higher value products, or how can the side streams, for example, sawdust or wood chips or wood bark, be processed into higher value products from a circular economy point of view. Another factor to think about is also how much money do you need, and what are the resources of the investor, and what are the strategies of the investor. In our case, our ticket size ranges from 500,000 to 5 million, and we can invest with other investors as well. So it's good to understand what are the know-how that you require in your company, and what are the next steps. So is the investor able to carry on also to the next phase, or is it the early stage investor or a later stage investor? We can start with a seed round and follow on later to A rounds and demonstration projects. It's also good to understand how are the decisions made by the company. We have a 4-gate decision-making process, and it's made by our board of directors, which gives us the opportunity to then involve the business areas, and that makes all the parties aligned and supporting the decision to invest in a startup. From an investor's perspective, an important factor is the maturity of technology. Typically here we talk about a term called TRL, technology readiness level. There are opportunities that start from the lab scale. There are more opportunities to get funding for those cases, as they don't require as much financing. But then, especially when you need to build your first pilot plant or demonstration plant, those are areas where it's a little bit harder to obtain financing, because those are capex heavy investments. Luckily nowadays there are more interest in these areas due to interest in climate issues, sustainability issues, and the forest sector is heavily in line with this. And especially if we think of the phase of demonstrating the technology from the laboratory to the intermediate stage, where you need to show that the technology scales and you have sufficient market proof. This is typically told to be the valley of death, and when the investors are evaluating these cases, then they check sort of which is the area that you're in and what is the area that the investors look for to invest in. Are they more of the early stage investor? Are they more of on the pilot or demonstration phase or the industrialization phase? And it's a little bit similar also with the technological solutions. So are you more on the prototype stage, or do you already have a scaling software product ready? Here I've brought just a couple of examples of some investments that we have made into, you could say, internal startups as well as external startups. The first one relates to textile fiber that is made from paper-grade pulp. So an example of how an investor likes to find, the corporate investor likes to find a higher value added use for a raw material that they have. A similar case is the 3D Muoto packaging product. Again, starting with a pulp as a raw material and how to create a higher value products. Then we have a very interesting company that we have invested in called Budio. What they do is that they process a low value side stream of wood chips that cannot be utilized for pulp production, and they make a fully waterproof composite material out of this. A material that can bind carbon for a long time. Their first use cases have been the wash basins here, but they also make panels and other products. Then we have a couple of other companies called Montinutra that extract stabilizing and emulsifying agents from spruce sawdust, and a company called Innomos that extracts valuable ingredients from birch bark. So there's a lot of different opportunities that can be utilized. Either they relate to further processing primary products or further processing of side streams. And from investors' perspective, the value increase here is important. So how much value is the company able to generate by their technology and processing the side stream or main product into a new product. And here's a quick run through of some key things in the end. So of course, regardless of what type of investor you're talking with, the main thing here is that there needs to be a strong team that is able to execute the business plan. It depends on what is the background of the team. Sometimes they require strengthening on the technology side, sometimes on the business side, or sometimes on the production side. If you don't have those resources yet, then it's good to have a plan on how to recruit and how to strengthen the team, that you have thought about this. It's also good to show what is the uniqueness of your invention, of your technology. Have you patented it? What is unique? What can't the competitors copy? Also, it's important to understand the raw materials. Of course, the wood, what sort of tree species can you utilize? How can you get them in large quantities and in a sustainable manner? And of course, what are the other parts? Chemistry, for example. How are you able to get the right type of chemistry when the technology scales? Of course, what I mentioned already before is the maturity of the technology readiness level. Then it's also good to understand, especially in the current climate when there's a lot of inflation, there is long delivery times for machinery, that you have a funding plan that is sufficient. You're asking for enough money and you build in some buffers, some contingencies in the investment calculations that you present to the investors. Especially talking with the climate focus and sustainability and ESG focused investors and also corporate investors as ourselves, the sustainability issues, they're more and more important, and you should understand what are the important factors regarding your product and process. Even if you haven't got the life cycle assessment calculations yet, is that you're able to show how have you thought about these factors in terms of scaling. Then regarding scaling, it's good to understand and good to be able to communicate how can you make a big business out of your technology or invention, and what is the time scale. And if you're going through, for example, piloting or demonstration and then jumping to the industrial scale, what are the different steps required? What is the different funding required? So you have thought this path through. And also, of course, when talking about investments, a big factor is the production cost. So understanding how much does the production cost, how much are you able to profit, key thing for investors. And then from an industrial investor point of view, key thing is also location. How does the production scale? Are you able to integrate to existing forest industry mills, for example? How dense is the product? Are you able to ship it to long distances, or do you need to have a more dispersed production? And as a last thing on the list, but not of the least important at all, is the customer attraction as well, to showing that there's interest from customers towards the solution. And depending on the stage of the company, do you have sales or do you have letters of intent? Those are important factors. So these are main things to look for. And from our point of view, if you have any ideas related to wood-based materials, replacement of fossil plastics, upgrading paper-grade pulp or side streams or digital solutions, we're always happy to discuss. But I would like to leave you with this list here. These are some of the key things, not all of them, but some things to keep in mind. So this was a short run-through of some things that an industrial investor looks for, especially when looking into physical products. Hopefully this is also of help, and if you have any questions or would like to chat, please feel free to get in touch with me. My name is Erik Kolehmainen, and you can reach me at erikkolehmainen@metsagroup.com. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I guess you hear me? No, does not hear me.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks again, and hopefully next time you're joining us physically.
I hope so as well.
Okay, and please stay in the stream. You get the stream link, you can stay and watch.
Will do.
Especially
Thank
the
you.
startup pitches,
Thank you,
please.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. So, the first trial worked. The second must be, or is scheduled to be, Alban Bresson. Is he online? Okay, Alban, welcome, bienvenue.
I think there's a bit of a delay on the line. Hopefully you can. So, pleasure to be here. Thank you, Wolf, and delighted to see the audience, or at least as much as I can remotely. I'm Alban Bresson, a co-founder at Reforestum, and we're on a mission to bring transparency and traceability to the voluntary carbon market. And while we are a startup, here I'm filling in for a network we are a part of, Cambridge Clean Tech. And so I'll keep this less about us and more about the market we're in, the problems we see, and the opportunities as well that this brings for not just us, but also for our peers. I just have a bit of background noise on the line, but hopefully that will be sorted if it's someone on the teams. Moving on through my slides, the first thing is, let's look at why this is a problem, this idea of transparency and trust in the voluntary market. As you all know, we're only a few years away from reaching the limit set out in the Paris Agreement. It's a 1.5 degree of warming on average. We're already at 1.2 at a global scale. And while we're on track as a society in terms of setting targets, with about 90% of global emissions under some form of net zero target today, we're not on track in terms of delivering on those targets. And while the focus has rightly been on reducing emissions first, as it should be, I've been for about 10 years in this industry, and as you again probably all know, in absolute terms, emissions keep on increasing year after year. And as this unfolds, with every year that passes, the reality is that in the hope to reach planetary net zero, as it is known, by 2050, which is what scientists say needs to happen, we will need more and more the net part of the equation to weigh in. And the way that happens is through what is commonly known as offsets, or more generally, the carbon markets, and then the voluntary carbon markets within that. So why is that a problem? If we have a solution, well, the problem is no one really trusts the carbon market to deliver on its impact. And again, you would be right to be if you're in that group, because the reality is that it has so far failed in the past decades to do so. Let's take a first quick look back at again, why it is a problem and why it matters now. So first of all, why is there a lack of trust? Well, there has been opacity in this market building up over decades. People were doing their best efforts, but there was a very real multitude of standards and a difficulty. The bottom line is, especially from a corporate point of view, wanting to invest in carbon offsets, there's a difficulty to tell the good from the bad. And for those following the news in that space, last week there was a big announcement from The Guardian, but this is a regular occurrence in our industry, and some say that up to 70% of projects in this space do not deliver on their climate impact, as they say. So why does it matter? Because today regulations are finally catching up, and the corporate climate disclosures are really becoming under scrutiny from consumers, regulators, and so on. And so where before having a good project, if it's a forest project, a strong forest carbon project was a nice to have, and it's now becoming a must have. And how do we know? We have been in the market for about 5 years, talked to hundreds of corporates and generated millions of euros of revenue. So despite improvements in this market, trust is simply not there. So how do we help solve this? The positive side of the equation, we need to increase the visibility and the transparency in this market. And the good news is that there is huge reform underway, but again, with a lot of complexity, so bringing that down in a more visible way for corporates to participate. We need to verify and validate the climate impact in a live way. And I think you will hear throughout the day from a variety of startups tackling exactly that problem. So, and of course, when it relates to wood, you know, the nature-based part of it is particularly problematic. So helping solve that issue. And you know, once you verify those impacts, you need to integrate it in the reporting in the way that helps make corporates accountable. And only then can there be trust that these efforts are real, additional, and delivering on net zero. I won't say any more about our solution, but I invite you to check it out if you want to see what does it mean in practice in terms of traceability. You can see at a granular level. And I will just end on this slide, reaching about the time given to me. This is the size of this market as it is today. It grew over fourfold in the past 2 years alone. It was about $2 billion globally last year, the voluntary carbon market. Demand is set to grow about 15x by the end of the decade, so reaching around 30 billion. But the message I want to leave you with is that this is far from enough in terms of meeting those climate targets I mentioned at the beginning. And therefore, our role as we see it at Reforestum, but also the peers that you're going to listen to, starting with the next speaker, Gianluca from the World Economic Forum, is how do we really get that number up? How do we get more innovation happening and together build trust in the carbon markets? Thank you very much.
Okay, Alban, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Our next is hopefully Gianluca from World Economic Forum.
Good morning, everybody. Guten Morgen. Ich hoffe, ihr könnt mich alle gut hören and that I'm coming loud and clear. I think, as Alban said, I think there's a little bit of a delay, so we're always unsure if we actually come through, but I trust it works well on my end, as it did for my friend Alban. Well, it's a pleasure, Ulf. Thank you very much for the invitation to join the Wood Innovation Forum today. I come here today with open ears, with a mindset of learning from all of you, but also with an invitation from the World Economic Forum and our innovation platform, Uplink, where we have been leading and announcing just last week, a new challenge around accelerating the innovation ecosystem for the forest economy. I'm just going to share my screen now and hope you can all see it on your end, and happy to also distribute the slides then afterwards with the event organizers. I want to keep it quite brief and concise. At Uplink, let me just see. At Uplink, we are the open innovation platform of the World Economic Forum, and we exist to create bridges between the innovation ecosystem. I want to start with a couple of numbers just in the nature space. We do this towards all of the SDGs, so in ocean, circular economy, health, education, but also in nature. And in the nature space, we've ran over the last 2.5 years over 10 challenges. I think we're at 13 now. Received 1,000 solutions, of which we selected 110, and they have collectively only over the last year raised another 150 million. So just kind of setting the context with these numbers, you get that it's kind of our vision to help innovation thrive, to help the innovation that is focused for not just profit, but also for impact for people and planet, to become the new normal. If you will, our motto is business unusual, and our hope is that is what is today business unusual will in 5 to 10 years from now become the new business as usual. So at Uplink, we focus on the one side, bringing entrepreneurs, startups, such as many of you in the room today, together with investors, with experts, with also some of the corporate sector partners that we have at the World Economic Forum, to really accelerate the impact and scale some of these what we call ecopreneurship models for the future. So let me go to the next slide. How we work is we usually, what we say is we want to build an entrepreneur movement. We use the World Economic Forum's social media audience of over 30 million people to kind of raise key awareness about sustainability topics, but also about some of the startups that we select and present the video on them to spread the word. And so to say, if you want, elevate a certain innovation topic to the global stage, shine a spotlight on it, and convene all the stakeholders around it. I think what is at the core of what we do is to unlock this ecopreneur revolution, as some call it, to discover high quality, high potential, scalable and innovative solutions in different sectors across the world, and driving then that impact for people and planet, much of which Alban has mentioned before around the voluntary carbon market, but also different areas. It's a way for us to amplify also awareness around sustainability issues and opportunities. We kind of then are able to elevate these discussions onto global stage into the public-private corporations that we have at the highest levels, to then overall kind of strengthen and expand that innovation ecosystem. Yeah, when we talk about innovation ecosystem, I think we always come from a very global lens, looking at the whole world, and try to also raise or bring good local solutions all the way up to the global level. And when we talk about this innovation ecosystem, I think very much at the heart are these Uplink ventures that we find via our online platform Uplink, that we source via these innovation challenges, that are usually in pilot, growth, or even scale-up phase. And then we see these embedded in Uplink funds and investors. We've heard from Eric in the very beginning that are a crucial part of it. The World Economic Forum with our many initiatives, for example, our Forest Economy Program, Wanted.org, the Trillion Trees platform, etc. Plug those into the networks, change makers, influencers that help us raise the awareness, but also corporate partners such as Salesforce, Manulife, Deloitte, who want to invest in the next generation of entrepreneurs that do have an impact for people and planet. And then last but not least, the experts too. We're very humble about saying, okay, we don't have the expertise on every topic of this, but we have a convening power at the World Economic Forum where we can bring everybody together, so that we actually do move the needle forward on specific issues. So yeah, with that, and this is maybe the slide I want to spend the most time on, and why I'm so excited to talk to all of you here today. We just launched last week in Davos at the annual meeting a new innovation challenge around the sustainable forest economy, and it's an effort that we build on some of the existing work of the forum within the forestry sector and industry, but it's really a call for these ecopreneurial startups, of which many are in the room, that have these innovative scalable models for either sustainable forest management, the production and application of different wood products, or also enabling technology, be it for sustainable forest management, or also new technologies for production and application of wood products. I mean, there's quite a lot around there in the textiles, nanotechnology, etc. So it's really an invitation to all of you to become part of that innovation ecosystem. If you're an entrepreneur, one of these startups, I'd like to invite you to apply via our Uplink homepage. I inserted here to the right the screenshot, where we really then hope to to give you visibility and recognition by the World Economic Forum, provide you with access to decision makers, investors, but also corporate partners in the space, and provide you with some programming and interactions to meet people at events. And on this case as well, there's some prize money of $150,000 also available for the winners. So yeah, but likewise, if you're an expert, happy to connect with you. We're eager to learn, to make sure that this is on a solid stands on solid feet. And also, if you're an investor or potential partner who's just interested and wants to help accelerate the ecopreneur revolution, our arms are open, and I invite you to connect and take this discussion further. So yeah, without further ado, if you want to reach out, I'm always happy to see how we can drive this forward. I'm looking very much forward to the rest of the day and learn from all of you in this space on the sustainable forest economy and the use of wood products. So thank you very much, and back to you, Ulf.
Yeah, thanks, Gianluca. Stay in our YouTube stream. Our next speaker is coming from Australia. Hello, Australia. This is Charlie Watkinson of Source Certain. Okay, welcome on stage.
Thank you so much for having me. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, excellent. So I'd like to thank Ulf. I'd like to thank Swiss Chrono for inviting me to talk, for giving me the opportunity to share my ideas with like-minded individuals, and also to tell you a little bit of a story about what's persuaded me to jump 10,000 miles on a plane and head over to Australia to join something really fantastic. So I today plan to talk to you a little bit about how this laboratory's technology can benefit the timber industry by disrupting conventional paper or digital traceability. What exactly does that mean? So I plan to talk about 4 things today, just to give a little bit of a rundown about who we are, tell you a little bit about what we do, how exactly we'd like to disrupt in the timber industry, and show off a little bit about where we excel and how the timber industry will actually benefit enormously from our technology. So I'd like to say that Source Certain is Australia's leading provenance laboratory. In a nutshell, we verify anything living or even once living or not living at all, such as diamonds, and use laboratory analysis to say, what farm it came from, what orchard, what mine, or what forest management unit. We have numerous programs with people in the industry. This technology has been developed over 40 years. It's by our chief scientist and forensic expert, Professor John Watling. And it's been used in criminal cases. So there's a lot of precedence for this type of technology to be used to say where a product has come from. We're not unfamiliar with how to do that. Source Certain has over a dozen staff, and we're growing. This is our core technical team. This is John Watling, who's more or less the founder and the creator of this technology. Our husband and wife duo who lead the company, Cameron and Rachel Scadding, which I think it's really, really important to say, though we might pack a real big punch in terms of technology, we're still an Australian family-managed business. And Jenna Valentin, who is responsible for a lot of the research and running of operations in Australia. So let me show off a little bit about what we do. So the UK government has selected Source Certain to help identify stolen Ukrainian grain. We also have projects running with the Australian prawn industry to demonstrate that Australian prawns are from where they say they're from, and whether they're from the wild or whether they're from aquaculture. So we aim to support business using our technology. We've also been enrolled within the SCS 007 standard to demonstrate where diamonds have come from. Our technology is able to take samples out of diamonds in a non-destructive way and verify them back to the kimberlite pipe of origin, beyond the mine of where these diamonds have come from. We're also using that to say where lab diamonds are from. And we even work with, we work at all levels of the food industry and at the timber industry. We're even working with a producer like Reed Fruits to be able to show where their cherries are from and that their products are authentic when they're sold on international markets. So let me explain about how we want to disrupt in the timber industry. A lot of, we take a lot of stock in terms of assuming that when a tree's cut down, when there's a plan been lodged to harvest a tree, that is true. And we're finding time and time again that that's not the case. Otherwise, we wouldn't have illegal logging and deforestation on the scale that it is. Therefore, what we provide is independent scientific evidence or proof of origin via laboratory analysis. And we want to do this to help businesses know what it is that they're actually receiving. And that both can be used to support the digital record, but it can also be used to question it. And I've done this for about 10 years. Some people think that this is, maybe challenging the position of auditors. I'd say that this tool is in support of auditors, because if we provide information saying what to look for on audits, then you know to what questions you want to be asking. That audit has a little bit of a different flavor if you have results that indicate that what's coming out of a supplier isn't necessarily correct. Alternatively, if you find results that say that everything coming out of a supplier is legitimate, then that's a great position to start an audit in. You know that you're going to be finding the right things. Now, I was developing tests for wood origin with the World Forest ID, with the US Forest Service international programs, and DEFRA, and we were using stable isotopes. This was in my previous job. I want to show you why TSW Trace is a step up from that. And sorry? Okay, I'll continue. Let me show you a little case study before I wrap things up. There is an island in the Solomon Islands called Kolombangara Island. Now, when I was working at Agro Ice Lab, we took samples from across the island, and then Source Certain also took around about 100 samples from across the island. Let's do a bit of a comparison. My study showed that though I could differentiate wood from different sources within the Solomon Islands, wood from Kolombangara Island via the stable isotope method, we could only say that it just came from the island. There was nothing that we could split it down to. And that's because we were using 4 variables in the test. Well, Source Certain's TSW Trace uses about 60 variables in terms of the test, and you're able to analyze a lot more samples a lot more quickly. So you can get down to around about 2.5 kilometers to maybe around about 10 kilometers, depending on where on the island it is that you're looking for using the TSW Trace method. This is an island that's 30 kilometers across, and this technology is able to section it up. I think this has enormous potential for use in saying whether something is from a particular FMU. What I'd like to be able to do is scale this up using the exact same application that we're using to verify the origin of diamonds, which is using laser analysis, where we can take like a single spot sample, very, very small, and be able to get enough information out of that sample to be able to say where it was from. This is a little bit about the SCS 007 standard.
Charlie, hello. Could you accelerate your pitch, please?
I have one more slide after this.
Okay.
Our initial trials in plywood show that we are able to see different chemical information in the different layers of the plywood. So we think that we'll be able to have rapid analysis that would be able to tell where wood is from in complex products like plywood. So I really thank you for fitting me in today. And if you'd like to contact me and get in touch, please reach out, charlie.watkinson@sourcecertain.com. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank Charlie. Regards to Australia. Okay, jetzt haben wir genug Videos gehabt hier. Erstmal, jetzt geht es wieder in die reale Welt zurück. I'm happy to welcome Carsten Bringschulte, who is one of our local forest business heroes from Brandenburg, and Teknaro from Baden-Württemberg. Both are really good success stories in order to inspire you all about what you can do with successful businesses in the forest area. Especially Carsten and me, we know each other quite for a while. And he recently received, correct me, 10 million funding. So you see what is feasible in this sector. So are judged that might be of interest for you for getting this presentation done for your own business. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much for the invitation and opportunity to present here today. So I'm happy to be announced as a success story, even though I think we're just at the beginning of what hopefully will be a success. I think clearly we've raised some money, so that's kind of good, but we really want to do good. We're an impact for profit, so our main mission is to have an environmental impact. And that's the mission of the company, the vision that we want to achieve, but we want to do this profitably, and we have to do it profitably. So we are that company that tries to do both, have the impact and make a lot of money in return for investors. But if I talk about the problem first, it's huge. The problem we're trying to address and help with is climate change and biodiversity, which is a real crisis for the global world, actually, for everybody here. And wildfires is one of the problems that we are trying to address with our company and with our products. Wildfires are contributing about 20% of global CO2 emissions. Between 6 and 8 billion tons are being emitted from fires in the natural environment. That's about the same amount the entire traffic puts into the air. All cars, all airplanes, all ships combined have the same amount of CO2 emissions. So we're putting a lot of money and effort into electrification of traffic. Why don't we put the same billions into preventing wildfires that have the same effect on the most devastating effect that we're seeing in this world, it is climate change and biodiversity. So we want to work on that. That's the biggest problem, but there is also a huge issue with biodiversity. We're losing about 3 billion animals in wildfires each year, and that's not ants, that's not insects, that's mammals and reptiles and birds. So fortunately, you can say there's also a huge financial damage caused by wildfires. The US economy alone suffered about $145 billion last year due to the consequences of wildfires. And that, I say, is positive in a way, because that enables us to have a profitable business model to prevent the financial damages, and by preventing the financial damages, also, of course, having a huge ecological impact, preventing the wildfires underlying that. So we need to stop wildfires. So how do we stop wildfires? We need to stop wildfires in the very early stages. Wildfires start often, 85% of wildfires are human-induced. They start in the smoldering phase. So some idiot throwing a cigarette, somebody doing something stupid, an accident, a transformer overheating. Most of the fires are starting at the smoldering phase. And it takes about an hour or two before you have an open flame, and then smoke plumes rising above the tree canopy so that it can be seen from satellites or camera systems. So this is all basically about time. And our mission, our vision is to do what we call ultra early detection. So we want to detect fires in the smoldering phase before it spreads out of control, before there is even an open flame, with our technology complementing cameras and satellite systems that are already doing a good job at detecting fires. We want to help and improve, in particular in the wildland-urban interface, where most of the wildfires are actually starting, where we are responsible as humans for them. So what we've developed over the last 2 years with the help of investors' money and about 32 employees that we are now, is creating a product we call SilverNet. It's a network for the forest, silver for the forest, and network for the network. And we have a solar-powered mesh network infrastructure that we place into the forest, which actually creates a digital network infrastructure in the forest, because typically mobile operators do not provide a network infrastructure, right? So how do we do IoT and sensors? We need to create an IoT network infrastructure. We're about that. We create a solar-powered mesh network infrastructure, and then we have solar-powered gas sensors that we place in every hectare roughly of the forest to actually smell a fire. So we're looking for hydrogen, carbon dioxide, VOC concentration changes, and we're applying built-in machine learning to detect the typical patterns of a fire. So think of it like an electronic nose. If you're standing inside of the forest and there's a fire nearby, you'll be able to smell it, and so will we with our sensors. And once it detects the fire, it sends an alert over the wireless network, out to the internet, and we can call the fire brigades in at a time when it's still easy to put out the fire. Now, a key part of what we're doing is this mesh network, right? So I'm basically a telecoms guy. I've spent about 25 years in the telecoms infrastructure, and now I've turned into what I learn now is called an ecopreneur, to actually do good with the technology that I've learned over the decades, so to say. So what we're doing here really is telecoms in the forest. We're creating a solar-powered mesh infrastructure that enables large-scale IoT in areas which are typically not covered with typical telecommunications industry. So what we have is this mesh network, which is really the core of what we do, and then we put applications such as gas sensors for fire detection into this network. And we have a cloud platform where we take all of the data and make use of it and do analytics and alerting. But you know, once we have a network in the forest, it's great that we can detect fires, and we think we can do a lot of good with it. But how about if we do much more with that network? How about if we detect soil moisture, we measure tree growth, we measure health of the trees, we could prevent illegal logging with chainsaw detection. The idea is really to create a digital network and then a lot of applications into that network that actually help to protect, restore, and thrive in the forest environment with the help of digital technology. Now that it is possible to put IoT sensors into the wild, we can use the technology to do good and to help to protect one of our most vital ecosystems. That's the vision of what we want to do. So as a company, we are actually an impact for profit, so we want to make money. So how do we make money? We build our products, and we've built about 10,000 units of this sensor in December. We've sold all of them within 1 month, generated about 400,000 euros revenue. This year we will manufacture 230,000 units with a target of 4 million euros revenue, so we're scaling rapidly. And we're taking our VC money, of course, and putting it into the hardware and then bringing it out to the market. But who do we sell it to? We sell it to the private forestry industry that needs to protect the assets from fatal damage due to wildfires. But we're also selling a lot to municipalities that actually need to protect the environment and the people living in the environment, as well as, surprisingly maybe, the grid industry. So power lines are causing a lot of wildfires when trees fall into them, and then they create a fire, and they have a huge liability issue. Train lines have a problem when wheels are blocking and causing sparks that can actually start a fire. And there's a liability issue for train companies. And we're working in the US, for example, with PG&E, one of the largest electricity grid operators in California. And the idea is to protect about 10,000 miles of power lines going through forested areas by putting one of these sensors onto every pole. And if it starts a fire, we'll detect it so early that it can be put out. We're also working with Cal Fire in California at the moment, doing a trial with 400 sensors, where hopefully we will help to prevent those devastating fires in the future in California. We're also having about 25 trials in different countries, in Europe, in Greece, in Spain, in Portugal, in Germany as well, in Brandenburg and in Saxony-Anhalt. So we're hoping to help also the local forest. So this is my last slide, and I'll stay within the 10 minutes that I was assigned to. We really are that impact for profit, so we want to make a lot of money and do good for our investors by delivering a great return of investment and value creation. But really what we want to do is to have an impact. So startups have big ambitions. You see those revenues that go up like this with the so-called hockey stick effect. We have that as well. We want to be hugely profitable. We want to sell 120 million sensors by 2030. That's the vision. And with that, we'll make a lot of money. But most importantly, we will also be able to protect the environment. So if we achieve our commercial goals of flooding the world's forests with our technology, we should be able to prevent a lot of fires in the future. And if you think about how much CO2 we could prevent from those fires that otherwise would have happened, we could have a huge impact. So our mission is really to save about 3.9 million hectares of forest by 2030 by preventing large-scale fires in the early stages. And that would and that would prevent a huge amount of CO2. We could have more impact than Tesla ever will have with their electric cars. And that's our vision for Dryad. And thank you very much for the time to present today.
Yeah, thanks, Carsten. I guess my father at this time would have been very happy to have this kind of sensors. With the, if there were fire incidents, they were simply detected when people were calling him and saying, hey, your wood are burning. And so this was a little bit too late, so nice technology. Yeah, the next testimonial for success in the business is coming from Technaro from Baden-Württemberg.
Hello. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak here. My name is Yannick Graf, and I'm representing Jürgen Fitzer, the head of the company of Technaro. And I want to briefly, in this presentation, tell you about the success story of Technaro and give you an outlook to the new company that they've just founded last year. Oh, okay, one back. So first of all, some background information about the company of Technaro. So Technaro was founded in the year of 1998 and is a synonymous of the German words for technology with renewable materials. And today, the company of Technaro, what they do is they develop, they produce, and they distribute high quality materials for plastic manufacturing. And what's more important, and the reason why I'm here today, is that the company of Technaro, who is manufacturing those bio-based materials, joined together with another company called Polytech, a manufacturing company, to produce in the future many products based off bio-based materials. And but back to Technaro. Technaro today has 46 employees and about 4,500 different biomaterial formulations for all kind of plastic processing technologies. And in the early stages of Technaro, they already realized in the late 1990s that the use of raw fossil materials is one of the main threats for our society for the future. So they decided to develop and produce many different materials that are based off renewable raw materials in order to replace just basic plastic materials for the future. And Technaro managed to find many different corporations in order to produce different products. Here, for example, you can see speakers. They also made different pencils and sticks. They also work together with a lot of companies that produce children toys. And also here, these urns that they produce that are biodegradable under forest conditions. So they can be, okay, I can hold it. So they can biodegrade under forest conditions and can be used for forest burials. They also produced those flower pots, and also different machines for. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So this is just one example of another product that they've produced and made of their materials. And now I want to give you some information about the new company that was just founded last year. So the company of Trade is a result of a 4-year-long research project together with the University of Applied Forest Sciences of Rottenburg, and that was funded by the German's Federal Ministry of Environment. And the goal of this research project was to invent new tree shelters to protect young tree seedlings, and they had to fulfill 4 criteria. The first one is that those materials that are used are completely bio-based. The second one is that the tree shelter is completely biodegradable under forest conditions without any negative impacts to the environment. The third one is that it is as functional as current tree shelters that are used in forestry. And the fourth one is that the new tree shelter is supposed to have a better result in a life cycle assessment than compared to current tree shelters. So we managed to do so, and today there is this tree shelter is now available, this fully biodegradable one. As you can see on those slides, we tested those materials under forest conditions for about over 3 years, and also got the result that they are biodegradable, and also found out that there are no environmental harms to it, as we did a lot of ecotoxicological tests. This tree shelter is supposed to withstand for about 4 to 5 years, and then start to degrade. It has, because of the closed shape, it has a very good microclimate, which is beneficial for most tree species that are used in those tree shelters. It is flat packed and therefore can be transported and shipped very time and also money saving, and it can be very easily be assembled and built up, so it does not take a lot of time. So to sum it all up, this tree shelter is the main reason why I'm here today, and I'm really looking forward to connect with people who are involved with any kind of tree planting and reforestation, and especially looking for people who want to do the last very important step of using sustainable tree protection instead of plastics or other materials. Last but not least, there are some of the prizes that Technaro won over the last years, and now I'm already at the end of my presentation, so thank you very much.
Yes, thanks. So we start with our startup clusters. The first to present is my friend Jonathan Levine from Boston, US. I get your samples, by the way, so welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you.
And by the way, this is my pasta watch going backwards. It's 5:30 ringing, so be in time, please.
5 minutes, Ox, or 5.5?
6.
Oh. Hi, my name is Dr. Jonathan Levine. I'm the CEO of Folio Materials. I'm the token American here. I've come to the United States because in the United States I have to explain that paper is sustainable. Paper is obviously a wood and forestry product, but I have a remarkable number of conversations with sustainability and clean tech VCs where I have to explain that paper is sustainable. That's not a joke. Paper and forestry are not really on the clean tech bucket list in the United States, and I think we need to change that. And so I've come to Europe, where I think you're much more advanced in wood and fiber and paper. So microwave food packaging is a niche, $17 billion. I think this is common for a lot of industrial sector supply chain. Because Silicon Valley and consumers don't notice us, right? But a lot of the industrial spaces, we have these immense markets, but people don't happen to know it because it's not consumer-oriented. Paper is this miracle material. It's very easy to work with. It's a great material. Lightweight, simple, barrier properties, very workable. 20th century miracle material. So how do we replace it in the 21st century, where you have consumers fearing microplastics, PFAS, toxic chemicals, of course, single-use plastics, recyclability problems. So how do we do this? How do we take paper and have it outcompete plastic, which is this miracle material? So right now, microwave food packaging looks like on the left. It's aluminum, chemical vapor deposited to plastic, that's then glued or laminated to paperboard, not recyclable. The other problem is the microwave food problem. Plastic doesn't allow moisture to go through, and so you have soggy food. Right, the classic problem with microwave frozen food, microwave leftovers, is that it's soggy, it's gross, it's boring, it's not very good. It's a texture problem. So paper has a good advantage. Paper soaks up liquid, paper soaks up water, paper soaks up grease. So we add a metal coating to the paper. So just like the plastic has metallization, we metallize the paper. The difference is we are only paper, we're only the metal, and we're using plant-based ingredients. So that we're now having a paper that has the same metallization, the same microwave crisping as the plastic, but now we're able to have the advantages of soaking it up, giving paper an advantage. We have the unit economics that are needed for the consumer goods space, very low cost, and we're really a coating and specialty chemicals company, right? We work with manufacturers. We never own any manufacturing equipment ourselves. So we're forming a network of supply chain partners. So this connects from paper chemicals manufacturers to paper and pulp manufacturers, packaging manufacturers, and ultimately the consumer goods companies that make frozen food, or the food services companies. And sure enough, my slides got shifted around, which is how these things go. So what we do is we license patents. We can sell carboys of coating solution, big pallet loads, or we can sell pallets of coated paper to enterprise manufacturing partners. Right? So we fit into this industrial supply chain and work with these different companies. This is a manufacturing channel partner sales strategy, very consolidated industry. There are about 5 to 20 large national, international firms in each of these spaces. Europe obviously has a number of these firms as well. So I'm here in Germany looking to talk to more German and Nordic companies in paper and paper packaging. The key part is because there are so few companies, you need a very small number of partners to get to national and international scope and have a very successful company. But we're not a packaging company. We're a paper platform. People love platforms. This is Silicon Valley's buzzwords, right? So we're a platform. We're a paper coating where we have a patented metallization coating. And this is going to let paper outperform plastic with fully virtual manufacturing. We use other people's manufacturing assets, so we have no capital needs for physical manufacturing because we work with the industrial manufacturers already. So we're using plant-based chemistry and nanoscience. And this is all possible because this is the work of my wife and co-founder, Dr. Teresa Denkovich, for her McGill Chemistry PhD. And Canada, of course, she ended up coming to Germany, to Norway, to Finland, to Sweden, and visiting various companies and universities as part of this. So what we're doing is we're taking commodity silver, commodity metal salts, taking plant-based chemicals, and we're using industrial processes to actually synthesize nanomaterials using industrial equipment. So we use about a penny of metal, and we have these giant industrial manufacturing reactors, right, which is industrial toll coating equipment, giant 65-inch lines. And this is all nano-safe because we actually are bonded at a covalent level. We're covalently bonded to the fiber so that the nanosilver does not come off. We only have ionic silver coming off. So the European Food Safety Administration is quite clear. As long as your nanomaterial is bonded to the underlying substrate, this is perfectly fine because we can quantitatively show we have 0 nanoshedding spectroscopically. And again, we never own equipment. We're very low cost because of this industrial nature. But we have many use cases, right? Food packaging is our focus. However, we've previously made antiviral face masks, which I'll put out some out later. I didn't see that face masks would become so politicized, so we've left that market, obviously the United States. And then water filters is how I actually know Ulf. We make a 20-cent, 20-liter water purifier for emerging markets. And so Fully Water Global is spun out as a subsidiary, and it's worked with people like Unilever before. And so we sell industrial pallets of our rolled paper to them. Issued patents, impact and greenhouse gases, of course, great advisors and team, great team. And then I'm here today to raise $1.5 million. We've gotten $600,000 from Tyson Foods as our primary sponsor. They're about to give us a $1.25 million pilot. We're targeting $1 million in joint manufacturing pilots with paper and packaging companies in 2023 for a 2024 launch of 50 million units across the United States. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. We can pass around your samples, the packaging and the mask samples. You take them away here. You can pass them around. Our next presenter is coming from Vienna, Enrique.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Do you see us or hear us?
Yes.
Do you see us? Yeah. Oh, I think, yeah, great. And the presentation should be okay. Okay, thank you very much, Ulf, for the invitation and Swiss Chrono for the organization. We are Green Legacy, based in Austria, in Vienna, and we are a company that exists because of climate change, basically. We we formed the company to address the issue of climate change and the impact it has on agriculture, and in this particular case, forestation. The problem of or the challenge of climate change and forestation is known to the audience, so we will not delve too much on it. Probably the best, the main issue is the mortality of plants, of young plants, after plantation, and the challenges of keeping these plants alive in the first years. This is our contribution to address this problem. Are soil additives that conserve the water in the soil and deliver it efficiently back to the plant when there is dry periods. Our products are based on super water absorbents. There are natural polymers, bio-based polymers that absorb, retain water and deliver it back to the soil in periods of drought. This way, a lot of water can be conserved alongside nutrients and elements that increase the chances of the plant to grow in the young stages. The products are totally degradable after a longer active life of several years. They are very easy to transport and to apply because of the high concentration and the low amount that is needed per plant. The advantages of using such products are several, especially the reduction in the mortality of young plants, and thus minimizing the risk of afforestation efforts. It is based on several years of experience in this area. The calculations that we can present, the effectiveness and the effectivity and the the commercial application is rentable for forestation efforts. The products and the technology has been validated in Austria. We validated it with universities such as the University of Agriculture in Austria. And at the moment, we are distributing these products in Austria and Germany through a cooperation with the Raiffeisen and Weber. And we are at the point planning the factory for manufacturing these products here in Austria. We've just closed our round of investment that allows us to mount the plant. Our goal is to start production in Austria at the end of 2023 and go in full production in 2024. We are still a small team of 9 people, planning to grow to 30 in the next 2 years, with a heavy focus on further development and product differentiation, further developing the product to address specific needs for specific crops and plants. So here I would like to cut this presentation short, because if there is the opportunity for the public to make questions, I'm here with our product manager who has a long experience in the field. So if there are any questions we could address now. If not, we like to invite everybody to reach out for specific questions. We are basically looking for clients, partners, distributors globally to help us bring these products to the end customers. So many thanks for the attention.
So Enrique, thanks. Our next presenter is Kilian. Kilian? Sorry, I'm wrong. Exactly. Generation Forest first.
So, sorry, are we still on? Are there any questions?
Okay. Thank you to Ulf and to Hendrik to give startups and innovators the stage to introduce their innovations at this forum today. I'm really happy to be here. And in my opinion, the quote, our planet is still in the emergency room, from the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, at COP27 last year, shows us that we have to do talk about solutions against to fight climate change to create a better tomorrow. And due to the illness of my colleague Boris Hesse, today I'm here to represent the Generation Forest. We are a cooperative based in Hamburg, Germany, that wants to break the paradigm that ecology and economy have to be at odds with each other. And therefore we invest our capital in the reforestation of biodiverse and highly productive forests. Our forestry concept is inspired to the tropical rainforest, so with the different levels of stages from the forest, from the woods, and this high degree of biodiversity. We recreate ecosystems on degraded land to put it in an ecologic and economic value, and therefore we use the forest for timber production. And the high value of tropical hardwood allows the financing the created jobs and in and around the forest, and furthermore it creates revenues that will benefit for the cooperative members worldwide. We call our cooperative shares an impact investment because they create a positive impact for nature and people. It is possible, therefore the impact is verified by the Verified Carbon Standard and Climate Community and Biodiversity Standard of Verra. And additionally, we collaborate with different universities to measure our impact and to improve, to keep improving our forestry concept. The second feature I want to point out is the community-based investment possibility, which we have created with our cooperative. It is possible for citizens worldwide, for companies and foundations and so on, to become part of our project and finance the regeneration of permanent tropical forests together. Thereby, we want to democratize the asset class of forest investments. Through the transparent and inclusive concept of our cooperative, we want to show that everybody can participate in a climate solution and create impact with an investment. On this slide, you can see our project regions in Panama, and most of our areas are located in the Darien region. And there we have also run one of the biggest tree nurseries in Latin America. And there are another region with project in near the Panama Canal. It's in the Colon region. And you can see all our projects on explorer.land, hosted by Open Forest, where you can explore innovative nature-based projects. These two people here are the main reason why we operate in Panama for our reforestation. Andreas Eke, a geographer from Hamburg, and Jana Amien, a forestry engineer from Panama, are one of our founders, one of our founding members in 2016, and are working since the 1990s in reforestation of tropical forests. Our latest project is Finca Solis in the Darien region. It is a 30-hectare area that has been used for cattle farming in the recent decades. And the cost of land purchase and reforestation for this area is 500,000 euro. So our goal is to finance this area by end of March. And this would create an impact of 600 tons of absorbed CO2 per year on average, and give home to various species of animals and plants. At least, I want to point out quickly that this idea is scalable, and our cooperative has grown significantly in the last 3 years. We are proud on the development so far, but we want to keep growing because we believe that we can create an impact with every new member and every new share. If we become more and more successful, we hope we incentivize people to copy us, and so that there are more forests are regenerated. Thank you very much, and yeah, I'm looking forward to have some good exchange with you.
So, our next presenter is Kilian Eckle.
Hello. Thank you for the invitation. Sorry. Exactly. I'm the founder of Rufus, and we think that we will transform cities globally, mainly starting in Germany. So what's the problem? I talk mainly about Germany right now. In Germany currently we have got a housing crisis. So I'm from Berlin, and in Berlin at the moment we are missing around 300,000 apartments. And when you look a little bit into the construction industry, you will understand actually we built since 100 years ago, in many cases mainly. But we believed there must be a change, and the change is we can use different methods which exist already. We build houses, Lego-like systems using timber walls and so on. And we are, I'm representing a company which is mainly focusing on digital construction. So we enable workflows with digital tools. And we believe with this combined, we can kind of build houses much faster and cheaper. So why now? We all know a little bit the crisis is here, so I don't need to go too deep into that, but the housing and the construction market by itself represents around 40% of the CO2 emissions. And by that, you can also see, for example, we use 70 hectares of green field per day, and also the 50% of the resources and 50% of the waste is done by the construction industry. So when you look into the market, at the moment in Germany, we miss around, or by 2030, we miss around 1.5 million apartments. And when you see, at the moment, the roof heightening is only 10,000 per year in Germany. So you see there's a huge gap of, okay, there's so much as a living space on top of roofs, but how can we build them? And in Berlin it's the same. We have around 100,000 space for 100,000 living spaces on our roofs, and only 700 are realized at the moment. So to be very, show you the example how it looks like. So it's using actually the typical timber frame walls, which are created houses already, which are used already for roof heightenings, and use the system because it's fast. And this is actually what we are going to do. We help with the digital workflows to be much faster in creating living space on top of roofs. How do we do that? Important is the go-to-market strategy. So we want to help users, roof owners to understand the market, because often they get to the construction industry, to the construction professionals, and learn a wrong way, get wrong advice, because there is not so much knowledge in the market yet. We talk about wood construction, and we come from the mineral industry at the moment, which means 90% of our houses are built with stones. And our main customers, because we are a platform, Our main customers are actually the construction people, the construction experts. We help them to build on top of roofs much easier because we can use artificial intelligence to create floor plans which are fitting to the existing building. And we can use other systems in order to make this process smooth and very efficient. When you look into the market, there is no globally and in Germany, no roof construction company or brand available, and at the same time there are already similar business models which are proven to work. So we are at the pre-seed level at the moment. We have mainly analyzed the market. We are in touch to the most important roof heightening experts. They all, and we are signing at the moment LOIs for this. I said it already, and exactly, this is our team. We are 2 co-founders. My other co-founder is an expert in creating digital business models. I'm already for 7 years in the digital construction industry. I built different digital tools. I'm also the co-founder and board member of the Digital Construction Association, where we have more than 120 startups as a member, and therefore we know how to build a digital platform dedicated to roof heightening. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next presenter, Tomasz.
Hello, I'm the founder of Fibritech. Okay, and this is about same fibers as used in existing technologies, but now used for a new process, new technology to create materials which are expanded. There is no pressing in that technology. And the story comes from the sustainability of materials. It's not related to incremental improvements in existing wood-based industry, but basic eco problems we are facing. And in like 2D space, foils and other plastics, I think that we already have pretty much the problem solved by bioplastics, but more and more fibers are coming also into the market to replace those products because the major renewable resource are fibers. However, we have much bigger problem with 3D expanded materials. Some of them, like foam plastics, are problematic because they are not recyclable, and rock wools or glass wools are harmful for people. And in this space of expanded materials, actually it's happening much less. There is something like foamed fibers, Scandinavian people are working on that. Not yet on the market, but some promise. And I think we need much, much more of this type of technologies to replace materials which are non-recyclable, many of them harmful, and they occupy 20 times much more space than original material because they are expanded. And this is what we did. Inventing the physical process without chemistry, without any biogrowths. We are expanding and bonding fibers in clean, fast process in 3D space. That leads to functionality control of materials. We can create many new materials which are light, porous. They doesn't have to be only light, they can be 200, 300 kilograms per cubic meter, which gives also other advantages because they can be pretty strong but quite light and 100% ecological, and that leads to industrially scalable process. Producing quickly spatial materials is not easy, and I think we covered that and the process can also be based on broad feedstock. So first applications we are trying are also as innovative as the technology itself, like growing medium for hydroponics. This structure can provide proper routing for hydroponic systems while material is clean. But we are exploring something like advanced biocomposites where additives to the fibrous network, biopolymers and other bioadditives can enhance the material in such a way that it can work as a future biocomposite material which is light and very functional, changing a lot of functionalities. So I invite all producers of non-fibrous sustainable materials like biopolymers and others to cooperate and find proper matching of those two materials. And all of that is based on this 3D expanding, which we control now, not only thickness, but shapes, dimensions, and internal densities together up to the hollow structures inside. We tried different type of fibers, original from wood, pulp, but also plant and waste recycled. That gives us pretty broad parameterization of unique combination of properties. So it's not only about one or two products, but a family of materials depending on the type of fibers and way of expanding them in 3D space. Many products leads to possibility to address many markets. And we start from the soilless substrate because it looks like pretty like double eco. We create eco material and we use it for growing more plants and developing the hydroponics. What can be interesting also from value creation, that in the same process and same product we can mix good quality fibers with lower quality fibers, so any side streams or other fibers not fully utilized or with low value in existing processes could be turned into more valuable products in this process. We tried many applications with some manufacturers. They are very interested, and European Union now believes in this project. So we are part of the EIC accelerator, scaling it to the demo line for next 2 years. And the story is about new process, like to address all the new materials missing in the sustainable space. We need to create this new process leading to new factories, and I hope the demo line will show possibilities of that scaling together with EIC accelerator. That's about 3D materials in Fibritech. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Tomas. Do we have our presenter from Costa Rica online? Question? No. Then do we have Pedro Latin online from Finland? Hello, Pedro.
Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Okay, I try to share my screen now and let's see how this works.
Perfect.
We'll start the presentation. Okay, so it was 6 minutes like. So good morning everybody. My name is Petro Lahtinen. I'm the CEO and founder of Vuudio. So as you have probably all noticed, all startups have some kind of larger than life problem that they are solving. And our problem that we are solving is ceramic industry, and namely sanitary ware ceramics. So basically all the ceramic products are fired in 1500 degrees for 24 hours, and that uses a lot of gas and energy, thus making this one of the most polluting and ancient industries in the world. So for that reason, we have created the world's first wood-based alternative material which behaves like ceramic, and it can be used also as a solid surface. So this technology significantly reduces the CO2 emissions of sanitary ware manufacturing and also makes solid surface products more recyclable. Although we have been on the market for a very short time and the mainstream audience doesn't know anything about Woodio yet, we have been very successful in professional audience. We have got a lot of international recognitions and awards for our product technology and our IPR. And going a little bit more deep to our technology, so basically what we are doing, we are using bio-based or traditional resins, like polyester resins, and mixing them with wood chips, natural wood chips, which are leftovers from other industries, and then combining them with some bio-based fillers. And in our proprietary casting process, these ingredients are taken together and we get the finished 3D product, which is 100% waterproof. Compared to ceramics, it's much lower weight and higher durability, and there are no energy-intensive phases in the process, so this is really ecological process. And also you can recycle the material as particle board or as energy. As a company, I said we are quite young. We started sales in 2019. Last year, our sales were closer to 1 million euros. At the moment, we are 33 people in the company. Most of them are working in our demonstration factory here in Finland. And at the moment, we have a basic product portfolio for sanitary wares in place. We have several wash basins. We can make even a toilet seat. This is the first in the world wood-based toilet seat. We have bathtubs, some accessories, and this year we are launching solid surface product. And the main unique selling points for our clients when we are considering our products, there hasn't been really any new innovations and new materials introduced to bathrooms for decades, if not hundreds of years. So that alone is a game changer in this space. But also these products are future compatible as we fulfill the building regulations for years to come. The products, there is no really compromises. The products are actually better than the ceramic counterparts. And one main benefit is that you can actually quite precisely calculate the CO2 savings compared to current solutions. For instance, you can save 100 kilograms of CO2 emissions per average bathroom. And our strategy is to use Nordic markets, Finland, Sweden, Norway, as a stepping stone to the global markets. Our next goal is to establish our presence in the sanitary ware market here in Nordics. We need to build a new factory for this. Our demonstration factory will be obsolete basically this year. And obviously we want to become revenue funded and then continue growing from there. We have 3 different business models we are using parallelly, but we can do everything in the same factory, so these are highly synergistic. So we want to continue developing our own product offering in sanitary ware space, probably in kitchen space in the future, selling Woodio solid surface panels as a semi-finished products to fabricators who then sell the products or make the products for the end users. And in a little bit later stage, we hope to start making OEM products basically for any brands. And it doesn't have to be kitchen or bathroom related at that point anymore. I know there's a lot of numbers in this slide, but basically what we are doing here, we are projecting break even in 2025. And now we are putting together a 17 million euro funding package, and we are still missing 5 million euros in equity for our next step. So basically, if you are doing a renovation in your bathroom or you have extra 5 million euros, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you.
Thanks, Pedro. You probably heard the applause you get. Thank you very much. My best regards to Finland.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presenter is Vanna Grosse.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for being here. Well, I'm not a startup. I'm an architect from Stuttgart at the moment, but I grew up in the same, almost the same forest like Ulf Leonhard, and close to Bonn. And my focus was or is always building with wood and special massive wood. So building buildings, creating architecture almost complete in wood. Of course, I know you can do something else with wood, flooring or paper, but when I saw woods or forest in Scandinavia or Canada, I saw trees like this, very small trees, very many trees, billions. This tree, for example, is 100 years old, 106 years old. I tried to find out, but it's like this. And so I found, why not creating buildings out of this very nice, very good, very many trees, to have very healthy buildings, very solid buildings, low-tech buildings, very long-lasting buildings that they need very less energy, almost no glue, no metal, and almost no energy, or no insulation, or very less insulation. So just massive wood buildings. And this is okay. This is this weak wood, or we can use always damaged wood, dry wood out of the forest. They are thick, and so we try to get some profiles like this 6 angles or 6 corner. We try to drill it, to dry it very quickly and very cheap. Or we used different kinds of profiles like this, and then I have a patent to connect this kind of 6 angles or round angle profiles, and if I connect the profiles like this, 3 directions of dowels, wooden dowels, without any glue, we get very compact and monolith building parts. So we can build buildings all kinds and all sizes. I'll show you some, this is the profile like this. My partner in Poland, he is a startup, really, and he started with a machine to profile this kind of trees and wood. And this is pine, and we also make some new developments. Fast-growing trees, maybe you know Kiri or Paulovnia. And this piece of wood is almost 2 kilos. 2 kilos. And this is Kiri. This is pine. Is 4 kilos. So this is soft wood, and very light wood is hardwood. And we make it out of this kind of squares. And so if we use softwood and Kiri wood, we have almost no insulation. We don't need very much energy, and it's very fast growing. A tree like this size grows in 5 years. So it's very easy and very fast growing, and it's not growing in the forest, but it's growing on fields like plantation. And I show you now some projects. So you can see we built very thick elements like this, 30, 40 centimeter thick for walls and ceilings and roofs, and we connect only with the dowels. No glue, no metal. And this comes to the side. It's a project close to Hamburg, and it's so we need some crane in these sizes, and so we stick them together, put them together to the whole construction. This is a holiday house close to Hamburg. This was built in 6 days, finished, with some facade enlarged. This is a horse riding school in Stuttgart, all massive wood, finished. This is the addition, and there we created some heating system with air, hypocaust heating. We covered the walls with a clay covering. We built some fences out of the rest of the wood. There you can see the forest behind there you grew up. It's near Bonn. We built a small sauna in Röndorf. It's finished now. And then we built some buildings in this basement in foam glass. It's like this, very light material, and covered with insulation and put into the wood. And then we grow up the building. This building is Feng Shui building. It has about 55 kilometers of this profile. And we also can build the roofs in different kinds of profiles, wall heating, facade in wood, all wood. And we have nails in wood nails. And this is a facade in Stuttgart. And this is is a pool near Hanover. This is the new profiles from Poland, our startup. And this is what we are doing now, having smaller pieces, so we don't need cranes. This is you can have and see those some samples if you want. I have it here anytime. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Werner. Our next presenter is Christian Bergus.
All right, thank you very much. Hi everyone, my name is Christian. I am the head of the DACH region, the German-speaking region for Ecotree. And here today to talk about the value of nature, or actually the multiple values. Before talking about ourselves, let us just look at where we stand, and by we I mean all of us, how much we depend on biodiversity. I think many people here actually know it, and for most it might actually be new. Up to 60% of the world's GDP depends on nature services. And at the same time, I think none of us actually hates nature. We love, a forest, we love having a hike in the mountain or a swim in a clean ocean. And at the same time, the question is, how did we get to this, right? To a model in a world where destroying nature comes as a collateral damage at apparently no cost, with a model where it's just taken for granted. So our question is, how can we actually create a business case going away from philanthropy, but a real business case where nature is actually valued for what it's worth? Not just everywhere in the world, but obviously in Europe as well, where the need to protect and develop biodiversity is just as big. So when we created in EcoTree in 2016, we actually based ourselves on the fund model, so the recycling of bottles in Germany, but also Scandinavia, where just the financial incentive actually makes people have ecological actions. And we applied the same model to forestry. With EcoTree today, everybody, which is companies or individuals, can actually become a tree owner. Again, this is only in Europe, France, Denmark, UK, and now starting in Germany as well. So that by having people and companies invest in the reforestation and maintenance of forests and biodiversity areas, we can not only obviously capture the CO2, which is helping the climate change sort of slow down a bit, preserve and especially redevelop biodiversity in Europe, and at the same time actually give a return on investment. Obviously, in many cases, not to the people who actually made the payment in the first place, but to their children or grandchildren, which is pretty much the definition of sustainability. If you think about it from a company level, that means you can actually have a self-financing carbon capture system, which we think it's a no-brainer. And we're not alone with this idea. So since we started in 2016, again, started in France, had the first international development in Denmark and the UK, and we raised 18 million last year, which now helps us getting a bit bigger on the German-speaking market. We work with 1,300 business partners, again, looking to expand, 50,000 individuals, yeah, I think the German-speaking region is quite interesting for that as well. The type of companies we work with, obviously ideally companies who actually have done their homework, who have assessed, who have reduced and avoided as much as they can, but we also acknowledge that there will always be a type of emissions which you can't reduce, and obviously for them what we work on is projects which are only based on the sequestration of CO2 and not on the avoidance, and again all of this in Europe so that we make sure that it's actually quality projects and real additionality, which is one of the main criteria for CO2 sequestration. We want to control the entire chain together with our partners. That's why we actually own the land on which we will start to build the forest. So usually we're going to look for lands which are, well, it's actually in the next slides, lands which are either, cut monoculture forests, sort of badly managed forests, and obviously agricultural lands where we have the highest level of additionality. What we do then is we usually buy the land, or we have very long-term management agreements with landowners. We have our own methodology to calculate the carbon sequestration. This has been validated and verified by Bureau Veritas, which is the TÜV in France, which goes beyond the Vero model. Actually, we're not Vero certified. We have our own methodology, and again, seeing the fact that it's in Europe, we want to ensure that this transparency actually goes really from the fact that the forests are here in front of your door, you can visit them, and at the same time, obviously, see the evolution not only of your carbon sequestration, but also your financial investment. So that obviously the results are not only forests, but also biodiverse areas such as they're meant to be. This is where we stand today. We've got 43 projects, again, mainly in France and Denmark. We have first agroforestry projects started in the UK as well. And as I said, we don't always own the land, which is why today we're looking for, well, two types of partners. First of all, obviously, companies who understand the nature of value, want to invest in this type of model, obviously have regulations which actually, will push them to make an effort and a contribution to to stopping climate change. And at the same time, maybe want to get the customers or employees involved as well, because as you own the trees, you can obviously gift them as well. And we think this is a lever for involvement of your stakeholders. At the same time, we're also looking for landowners who might need the financing to develop a sustainable forestry model, so that together we can actually make sure that obviously the SDGs are being achieved, but also if you look at this gray spot, this is the current state of the reforestation as part of the EU Green Deal. There's a 3 billion trees pledge, and as you see there's a gray dot, which obviously we want to make green again. Thank you very much.
So our last presenter of this morning, before we go in the coffee break, and we put on some heating for those of you, yes, for this building, is Hans-Weli Schmidt from Switzerland. He is representing the Swiss Association of Wood, Lignum. Hello, Hans-Weli.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Very good. And you see my screen?
Yes, as well.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation, especially to Swiss Chrono. I'm Hans-Uli Schmid from the Swiss Wood Federation, and I would like to show you today what we are doing and how we provide solutions for the Wood Federation. The Lignum is the Swiss Wood Federation. It's the umbrella organization of the whole value chain from the forest to the sawmill to the final product, and we have also some subsidiaries in the different regions. As we have different languages in Switzerland, we have someone who is speaking Italian, and we have also office in the French part. And we distribute all this information to our members. So if you want to get in contact, please, you can find me at LinkedIn. Lignum is not only active on national level, we are also connected on the European level together with Savoie. We are connected with other national associations in Europe, but we also are active in building smart to organize the exchange of data, to exchange the performance data of wood in the digital environment. So how we started that, we had many documents for the basic requirements in construction. We have documents on fire, sound insulation. We have built-ins for the different applications and examples for construction in wood. And now we try to transform all this information on a digital platform. We have actually those different basic requirements which are written in the European Construction Product Regulation, and they are based on the same standards, test standards and construction, building construction standards. And the problem at the moment is really that all those standards are translated in human readable languages, but it's one important participant is still missing. It's the machine readable language. The unique identifier for each property is not existing, and that creates a huge problem for our algorithms. If you want to write an algorithm, the algorithm cannot read all those different languages, and we have to provide a machine readable language description for each property we want to exchange in the digital environment. So this is a bit the topic. We want to improve the exchange from our performance declaration from the industry to the planning, and that the requirement and the performance match on an optimal level. Nowadays, I think we are not yet there, and we are building suboptimal in different levels. We use too much materials, we use the wrong materials, it's not on time, and we lose also a lot of resources. So by improving that, we want also to push wood as an ecological material. So in this case, we understand ourselves as a back office of the wood industry. Some things are better to coordinate and to tackle together and not as a single warrior. And therefore, we are creating Lignum data. So the latest result of Lignum data is the wood species database. You can filter different wood species according to different requirements. And we have now a collection of over 4,000 wood species, and this should be a common database to provide the possible origin of wood, and therefore also to assume a bit the due diligence requirements which are existing now and emerging from different laws, especially in Europe. The other database is the component database, where you can filter different components like ceilings according to different requirements, and everything is in a structured digital format. You can also have different languages, and it is basically generic solutions, but we have also specific solutions, especially from Swiss Chrono. We have solutions with Magnum board as a bearing structure. And that's how it looks in the details. So this is the template where we fill in this information. We have always a visualization of this component, and we have the information of those different basic requirements or basic performances. What I would like to draw your attention to is these ecological indicators at the bottom. So we're also calculating the environmental impact on different indicators for those components, and you can compare at least a bit the impacts and also the advantages. So if you use a lot of wood, you store more CO2, but maybe you have a bit higher impact also on energy. So that helps you also a bit to understand the whole thing. This is how it looks. In Switzerland, it's based on the national database of ecological impact, but that could be applied to different national databases. Also, we transform the information in a 3D model that you can see a bit how it looks in 3D. And then the big advantage, I think, especially also for startups, you can pick up our information for free, and you can use it and further develop on top on it. Today, I would like to show you two examples. One example is Swiss Chrono Timber Planner, where our components are filled in and further enhanced with information. And Greenbeam is going to be a spin-off from a university in Switzerland, which is helping you to optimize building in early planning stages based on our information. So first of all, the Timber Planner is a perfect example how digital connections work, that you can use basic information and further develop it. So Swiss Chrono put a filter on a database. They took the information they match for their products. They put the names of their products in the components. They show it here. They further enhance it with fire resistance information. They even put up on top tools which not exist yet in Lignum data, so like the condensed water calculator. And that helps really the client to navigate in early planning stage a bit through the systems and to find possible solutions to further develop. The second project I want to show you is this Greenbeam tool. It is developed in Switzerland, and it helps planners in early planning stage to optimize the buildings. And it shows you then directly which components are not matching the requirements which you set. So you can set different levels of requirements from standards or labels. And it is then replacing this old calculation which is not non-dynamic and actually not helping you in the design process. So this new way of direct and visual application should help us to further optimize buildings, also in the aspect of environmental impact. And then at the end, you will have this optimized building where you can see that you reach the goals set. And if you are interested, please contact Anita Naneva, or I will connect you with Anita if you are interested to have more information on that. So thank you very much, and I will stay open for questions.
Okay, that's really, thank you very much. I always was sure about the Swiss way of wood innovation. So, we are 10 minutes behind, sorry for that, but I guess it was worse. And we're meeting here again, it's now the coffee break, not the lunch. Coffee break. The lunch is served at 1, probably. We are meeting again at 12:25, 10 minutes later than indicated. Thanks.